Welcome into the show, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. I was walking around yesterday, just the house, ran some errands with the kids. Kids are off from school, back at school today. Wife goes back to work today and stuff, all that stuff. And I just kept on thinking about last night. I kept on thinking about Monday night. So throughout the day, I was fast forwarding to the night, and I was like, oh, the Sixers on tonight? No, the Flash? No. And I'm like, just thinking, they got football, college football, a lot of college football going on, all that. And I kept on thinking to myself, there's something to watch tonight because the Eagles are over. Like, I kept on thinking that. And it wasn't like, oh, their season's over because they suck and that's that. It was like they had no more games left. My feeling throughout all of yesterday as I looked forward to what I was going to watch and wind down to at night, no Sixers, no Flyers. Okay, college football, I can live with that. All that. Not the biggest college football fan, but I'll watch. And I just kept on feeling it was the feeling that you get like after the Phillies got eliminated in the postseason. It was that kind of feeling. It was the feeling you get after the Sixers get eliminated in the second round of the playoffs. That was the feeling I had throughout all of yesterday. That the Eagles were done. I couldn't watch them anymore because it was over. The last 5 games for me. And really, when you go back further than that, I got 3 plays I'm going to highlight today where I really look at the Eagles as damn lucky. And I know it was a topic of conversation even when they were 10-1, and people wanted to talk about how lucky this team was. They're the luckiest 10-1 team, whatever the case may be. And is this just luck? Look at all the breaks that they're getting. And damn, they did get a lot of breaks. And I'll highlight, like I said, a couple of them. But good Lord, you look at them right now, and they just look like a team that is floundering. And we have talked about this last 5 games, they're 1-4, and they have not looked great anytime recently, even against the New York Giants. And what's really fascinating about these last 2 games, the Cardinals and the Giants, is that the Eagles, for the most part this season, have not been a team that has started fast. They've been a team that had got out of the gates real slow and then pulled it together in the second half to take control. And then in the final minutes of the fourth quarter, kind of scramble a little bit to make sure they maintain that control. But this was the Eagles over the last 2 games, just coming out of the gate ready to play. And then either floundering around and finding a way to win, there's that phrase again, or blowing it against a team like the Arizona Cardinals like they did on Sunday. But I'm going throughout the day yesterday, and I kept on having this feeling of, oh, I can't watch the Eagles. They're over. Can't look forward to their game on the weekend because they're over. Even though you still have Week 18 in front of you against the Giants. You still have a chance to win the division, and that comes into play as far as whether or not you're going to be playing starters throughout this game against the Giants or whether or not you're just going to throw your hands up and say, you know what, I think we're going to just take the fact that we're in the playoffs. But there's no getting right at this point. We're just going to have to hopefully get into the postseason and hopefully everything changes. That was a question that was asked yesterday at the press conference. We'll go through that as we always do with Nick Sirianni whenever he addresses the media. We'll get into that. And then also the idea of that this will be most likely a 5-seed team going into that postseason. And what has gone wrong? The regret, if any, about not naming Matt Patricia the defensive play caller, but when he named Matt Patricia the defensive play caller. It was pretty wild yesterday. But yeah, just one final time. I want to ask this question. Did you guys feel that way as well? Did you guys go through Monday just kind of with this feeling of maybe it was like a lot of people have to go back to work today on Tuesday. It was like, oh, man, this is a bad attitude. Not a bad attitude, just not feeling great, feeling gloomy. But I just consistently had this feeling like the Eagles were just eliminated. That's the best way to describe it. I kept on having this feeling throughout the day that the Eagles were eliminated, and I had nothing to look forward to from this football team. Are you at that point? Let me know. Let me know on that in the comments. Hit me up Twitter, all that stuff. People on the podcast listening later, feel free to send me a tweet and let me know. An X, a post, a thread, a Facebook? I don't know. Anyway, so that's where I was at yesterday. From yesterday's press conference, though, listen to this firing squad of questions, okay? Because I was listening to each and every one of these, and I was just going, no, damn. This one from Brooks Kubena, I believe is how you say it, of The Athletic. Change of play caller responsibilities on the defensive side, particularly off-ball linebacker, Hassan Reddick, Nolan Smith, others in there. Would you make a change right now from Matt Patricia? It's been, what, 3 games since they made the move official? Now they want to go back? All right. Next question after that. Curious, over the last month, how are you holding up? Personally, to Nick Sirianni, like, dude, how are you doing? Because everything around you sucks. And you, too. You're not so great either. So how are you? Next question. Few games into the Matt Patricia defensive play caller experiment here. Do you have any regrets about when you made that decision? I'll even let you hear that question the way it was asked as well. That was from Dave Zangaro. And then this one is just a beautiful one. Hey, Nick, this is from Ruben Frank. Double-digit leads in 9 games this year. You've lost 3 of them. And in 4 others, you ended up scrambling in the last couple of minutes to win. Just wonder if you have any thoughts on why you guys have been unable to put teams away when you've been able to build big leads. That's a one hell of a how do you do to open up a presser. Hey, Nick, do anything stupid lately? Why does your team suck? Oh, hey, by the way, and also, can you explain A.J. Brown to me? So we'll go through all that stuff as the show goes on today, the miscommunication. And here's one thing I didn't even get into in yesterday's show. I told you guys on Friday, one of the things I was really looking forward to, one of the requests I had in my top 5 things that I look forward to or look for in every game. I said, give me something exotic. Give me Brian Johnson, Nick Sirianni, draw something up. Make me think, oh, wow, they prepared for a guy that was going to know them better than anybody in Jonathan Gannon. Give me a little something. Give me a little something you've never seen before. Line up. Give defenses something to think about in Week 18 and in the playoffs, however many playoff games you might have. Give me something that I haven't seen. And there was a couple of things in that game that I really liked. The first thing, and this just goes to show you, like, we can't have nice things. So I'm watching Brian Johnson. I'm watching Nick Sirianni throughout the first 3.5 quarters even. Really, I mean, you can have a bad play call here and there, but that second to last series that they had was so atrocious. But leading up to it, all right, so leading up to it and not including that second to last series, here's where I was at in this game Sunday against the Cardinals. Loved it. I didn't like the idea that they only ran the ball 5 times with DeAndre Swift, but they barely had the football. Percentage-wise, it still didn't really make sense, but that's what they did. And you know what, David, the offense was putting out points and the offense was moving, so I didn't have that many complaints. But the 2 things I looked at, one was the Dallas Goedert play. I think it was his first or second reception of the game. They lined up in the shotgun. Either it was a play action or a designed RPO, and Jalen Hurts puts the ball in the gut of DeAndre Swift while they run a little pre-snap motion, and Dallas Goedert ends up leaking out into the flat, catches that pass, takes it for 23 yards, I believe it was, from Jalen Hurts. That was a way to get the tight end the football that we haven't seen them get the tight end the football before this season. That pre-snap motion and then allowing right after the snap, Dallas Goedert to just kind of leak out of there in the flat and then be able to take the ball 20-plus yards. I was like, that's different. Okay, all right. This is something we haven't seen before from this Eagles team. That's something we haven't seen before from Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni. Very simple, subtle change to getting the ball to their tight end. And they got the ball to him, and he made a play. I liked that play. Then the most glaring, obvious one was something that, I mean, when I asked for something exotic, I did not expect Kenny Gainwell to throw a first down to Devontae Smith. Yet that's what happened. And they did it out of the tush-push formation, which is insane. It's bonkers to me. And that gave me hope. Oh, look, creativity. Now, when I talked about creativity, I was like thinking maybe at most we see another jet sweep, and that's not that creative. Okay? Well, just like that previous play to Dallas Goedert, that's not that creative. But for the Eagles, that's, oh, my goodness gracious, that's Vince Lombardi drawing up the power sweep. The seal here, seal here. That's what it was to watch for this Eagles team to do it. A little delayed route there, Dallas Goedert, easy completion. And then they take the major step forward with Kenny Gainwell throwing a pass. I forgot he was a lefty. But there we were. And he completes that pass to Devontae Smith. And I said, all right, make everyone think of something that could come out of this tush-push. They end up doing a couple of different things throughout the season, off the tush-push formation, off the quarterback sneak formation. And that was by far the most exotic that they have gotten so far this season. So I got what I wanted. I got an offense that was moving the football. And then, despite the fact that above everything else, I blame the defense first and foremost for why they lost this football game. I blame the front office and Nick Sirianni for making this change, for having to make this change. You had Matt Patricia. He should have been your defensive coordinator from the start. But they wanted to go with Sean Desai. Sean Desai at least showed that he can make some second-half adjustments. Matt Patricia, not so much recently. I think if you regret anything, if you're Nick Sirianni, it's when you made the decision. And for me, I think the decision should have been made at the beginning of the year. You want to bring in Sean Desai, a guy who was already taking on more of a front office role with the Seattle Seahawks after his 1 year of being a defensive coordinator in Chicago. You want to have him come into Philadelphia under the defensive coordinator title? Interesting when you have Matt Patricia just lying there waiting. Sure enough, he was lying there waiting until the Seattle game to go out there and actually handle the business, with reports coming out that he was even taking over the third down responsibilities earlier than that. Well, they reared their ugly heads certainly in this game against the Cardinals. So for me, I'm watching this all unfold, and the number one thing I look at is how poorly the defense played, especially the run defense in this game. I mentioned yesterday 128 yards, 200-plus yards by the Cardinals in total, 128 yards by James Conner alone. And I'm watching this defense, and I'm watching it all unravel. And now you're already getting questions about regretting when you made the move and whether or not you want to make another change, maybe back to Sean Desai. I don't know how you do that after you neutered him, but that's where we are. But the offense was playing really well in that game yesterday. And along the lines of, yes, we can't have nice things, just when I thought we were going to be able to talk about an offensive performance that came up in the clutch, that really, whenever they had the football, they could move the ball downfield, and they could come up with some big plays. Well, you come out of the third quarter, or excuse me, come out of halftime, Cardinals get the ball, march right down the field, they punch it into the end zone for a touchdown. Eagles get the ball back, 3 and out. Not great. Not great. Then they're able to respond later. You start the 4 consecutive possessions with the touchdown by the Cardinals. And when the Eagles had that opportunity to really put them away, as I described it yesterday, the challenge, the triple dog dare of Jonathan Gannon to Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson, say, hey, here's the ball. Here's the ball in my territory. Do something with it. I triple dog dare you. Just when I thought that we could have confidence in this offense burying the Cardinals and at least getting a touchdown, and at worst, if your defense was going to allow the Cardinals to mow you down the field, mow over you, go down the field and score again and force overtime, the Eagles, pretty decent in overtime this year. Just when I thought you could have some confidence in this offense coming up clutch. In a game you had to win, keep you in contention for the number 1 seed. Obviously, take a stranglehold of the NFC East. They choke it away with maybe their worst possession of the season. When you think about everything that came out of it, you look at the fact that they got the 1 first down on the big 18-yard reception by A.J. Brown. Great to see that. And then the quarterback runs, I should say. DeAndre Swift not getting anything. Jalen Hurts really not getting anything. You get the Jordan Mailata the holding penalty, pushes you back to the 1st and 20. And then you just couldn't do anything after that. And not only could you not do anything on the football field after that, trying to get guys off the football field was a major cluster, you-know-what, as that was going down. To the point of you had utter confusion, had to burn timeout, and with the extra time, your play call was the running back screen set up in a wide receiver position for Kenny Gainwell, where Devontae Smith is blocking and he gets rolled up on. As we know right now, it doesn't look like it's going to be serious. So that's a good thing. Maybe just an ankle sprain. Hopefully nothing more after that. Nick Sirianni really didn't offer more official information. We just have reports. But it looks like the Eagles are going to avoid at least tragedy when it comes to Devontae Smith and the rest of this season. But still, that could not have gone worse. That could not have gone worse. From the miscommunication to the burn timeout to the horrible play call. Could not have come up smaller in that situation. Hey, at least they got the field goal, right? At least they got the field goal. And then the defense again got mowed down. But up until that point, I was very impressed by what I had seen from Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni for the vast majority of that game when it came to offensive play calling. And we know it's not all Brian Johnson. We know Nick Sirianni has a hand in it. He doesn't really admit to it, but behind the scenes, it gets talked about a little bit more than it does in front of the microphones and in front of the cameras. But make no mistake about it, Nick Sirianni absolutely is making play calls for this team. Not every single one of them. Brian Johnson does the majority of it, but Nick Sirianni is a lot more involved than he would let on. And up until that point, I was like, this team is actually all right. I know it's only the Cardinals, but this offense needs a get-right game, no doubt. And they were getting that get-right game. And then they choked. And then they absolutely choked. On that final drive, Nick Sirianni was asked about what the hell went down with the miscommunication and where exactly blame lies. Here is Nick Sirianni on that.
Yeah, just a little miscommunication. Again, anytime something like that happens, that's on me. The coach to quarterback communications, always that's on me. And as far as the drive, again, you think through different things and different scenarios. We did feel like there was aggression in the play call to be able to run the run that we ran. But when something like that doesn't work out, you think to yourself, well, should have done it the other way, right? And that's just the mud you drag yourself through as a coach. Sometimes the decisions work, sometimes they don't work, and when they don't work, when you're not the one out there, playing, you think to yourself, what could we have done differently in that scenario? And of course, so the different thought process would have been to be past it in that scenario and shoot, So that's something that we got to live with, and we got to think through, and that's all in attempts for us to get better.
I don't have a problem with the first throw that they had, just to put you back in that horrible situation. Eagles 1st and 10 from the Arizona 20. They got all the way up to the Arizona 20. Jordan Mailata gets the holding penalty. It's now 1st and 20 from the 30-yard line. Hurts goes right tackle. I don't mind the first run. All right, see what you can get out of it. Hurts can make a big play. See what you can get. Fine. The second run is where it's absolutely egregious because he rolls out to his right. I don't know if he was thinking he was going to get something on that half of the field. I don't know. Either way, from start, it looked like it was doomed. And you know who looked like he knew exactly what was coming? Jonathan Gannon. Because you go back and you watch that play, and it feels like there's about 5 Arizona Cardinals just sitting there licking their chops, waiting for Jalen Hurts to roll out to the right. Oh, just come on. 4-yard loss, just like that. So now, after you were able to get it up there to the 4-yard gain, you end up losing 3 yards on that. Actually, 3 yards on that. You go back to the 3rd and 19. You're still at the Arizona 29-yard line now. Hurst makes the pass to Kenny Gainwell on the screen, and then the rest is history. They have to settle for the 43-yard field goal. The Cardinals say, thank you very much for that. They were able to put together a pretty easy 7-play, 70-yard drive over 2 minutes and 1 second for what would be the game-winning touchdown. How do you have miscommunications at that point in the game? I really don't understand it. Like, some might argue, how do you have that in the first 15 plays when it's scripted? Yeah, I get that, but you practice for those crunch time moments. You practice for those moments, those 4-minute offenses like you just heard right there, what you would have done different in those situations. And he says earlier in the press conference, yeah, maybe if I look back on it, I'd be a little bit more aggressive. This is not a good look for Nick Sirianni, because when I was going through it yesterday and he said that, I went, hold on a second. Whoa. You were just talking about how you had an issue with the fact that you didn't quarterback sneak it on the 3rd and 1 against the Giants last week. So if you had that to do over again, you would have just snuck the football. You just would have given the old push for the first down. Instead, you line up in the shotgun and hand the ball to DeAndre Swift. Not great in that situation. Hey, the first down marker's right there. Instead of starting right there, let's go all the way over here and start. That's what it's like. So last week he had that problem with DeAndre Swift. He had that problem with the 3rd and 1 call. And then this week, he's got a problem with not being more aggressive at the end of that game, especially when you get knocked back to a 1st and 20. You're running the football. I understand the sort of rock and a hard place here because you're trying to milk the clock against Arizona. And part of the reason Jonathan Gannon did kick that onside kick was because he knew that if I just hold him to a field goal, I'd march down the field and I win. There's no way that team in this short field is going to milk 5 minutes and 26 seconds off the clock. There's no way they're going to do it. And sure enough, they're the team that ends up burning the timeout. The Eagles are the team that ends up burning the timeout. How are you not better prepared for that? And then how do you look back on it and go, we should have been more aggressive? The obvious biggest problem I have is a 3rd and 16 and you're throwing the ball to Kenny Gainwell on a screen. But the second run by Jalen Hurts on the 2nd and 16, that makes no sense to me whatsoever. And he ends up taking that 3-yard loss. Yeah, I would think you'd want to be a little bit more aggressive there, Nicky. I would think. Now it's another game towards the end of the season where you just look completely discombobulated. And by the way, this is a defensive game. You put up the L on the sheet, whatever you go. L dash, defense. Number one thing that cost them, defense. But even that, it feels like it's before it, because defensively, how are they supposed to do anything in this game? I mean, they're not supposed to be this terrible against that terrible of an offense. But how are you this bad right now? Well, the word discombobulated, again, comes to mind. The word quicksand comes to mind. The object, quicksand, comes to mind. And that's what this Eagles team seems to be in right now. How are they set up for success? How are they set up for success right now defensively? Injuries, small part of it. But like I said yesterday, Zach Cunningham is not Lawrence Taylor. It's not like you're waiting for that guy to come off the bench and start wreaking havoc. You know what I mean? He's good. Not great, but he's good. And you watch this defense and you go, okay, hold on a second. They send a message to the locker room that as a 10-3 football team, they need to make a change with their defensive play caller. And Matt Patricia's now on the sideline. Sean Desai is up in the booth. How are you supposed to have confidence in your team, in your play caller, if he is just being assigned the role right now? That's a panic move that sends a horrible message to the rest of the locker room. And how do you make this change? Namely because third down struggles. And yeah, you're giving up a ton of points. And all of a sudden you're starting to really struggle against the run. How do you make that change? After Sean Desai, and I'll go back to this point from yesterday, allows 6 consecutive touchdowns against the 49ers, and then Matt Patricia comes in. Oh, and also Sean Desai, terrible on third down. And then Matt Patricia comes in. You're terrible on third down in this game, and you allow 4 consecutive touchdowns to the Arizona Cardinals. And you go through that stretch that I've highlighted of 16 plays. 19 plays facing 1 third down. And your team is looking around going, oh, wait, hold on a second. I thought we made the change to get better at that. I thought we made the change so that me as a player would be put in a better position to make a play on a third down. I thought that's what we were doing here, being put in a better position to become a better run-stopping team again. It hasn't happened. I thought I was being put in a better position to get off the field on third down. Hasn't happened. It doesn't make any sense. And if you're a team, here's the thing. People are talking about Nick Sirianni losing the locker room. And I know he's the head coach of the football team. That's always going to be the big name. That is, to me, that's small potatoes. Okay? Talking about the head coach of the football team losing the locker room. Do you know what this means for that to be small potatoes to me? If you're a Philadelphia Eagle right now, do you think you really lost coach, or do you think you really have lost faith in your head coach? I think you've lost faith in your organization. Because I think every player knows it's not just Nick making the calls here as far as what's going on the football field and what's going on in the locker room and what's going on with the final roster. I think this football team knows that this goes into Howie Roseman and this goes into Jeffrey Lurie and his demand for analytics to be intervening in everything. I think the team knows that. I think, if anything, the team doesn't feel like they've lost Nick Sirianni or Nick Sirianni has lost them. I think the team feels bad for their head coach. And guess what? That's not great either. I legit feel like this locker room looks at Nick and be like, man, people think we're put in a bad position. Look at this guy. This guy's got to face the firing squad, 4 times a week? 5 times a week if you include a radio interview as well? WIP's got to go on and explain this stuff? Whew. Yeah, I think the players understand what the hell's going on here. I think they like their head coach. I don't think they have lost faith in him. I think they've lost faith in a lot of things in this organization. No, don't get me wrong. If you're looking at that second to last possession here, that's where you're looking at Brian Johnson. That's where you're looking at Nick Sirianni, and that's where the players are going, not great, guys. Not great. But I think in the overall scheme of things, over the last 5 games where you've won 1 barely against the Giants, I don't think the Eagles are all looking at Nick Sirianni going, what the hell, Nick? I think they're looking at the whole organization. I think they know what's bigger. Like, basically, any workplace where you have an immediate manager, you know that guy's not making all the decisions. That guy's got a boss. And that boss ain't that far away. It's not that different with this Philadelphia Eagles team. Now, with all that being said, that's not an excuse for Nick Sirianni or like, oh, he's been perfect and he's some victim. No, that's not the case at all. But I think the players look at it and realize it's a bigger problem than just the head coach. And that's why I was saying yesterday, and that's why I was saying Sunday on the postgame show, this is an organizational problem. Like, you can't tell me that guys that even played it in college football are looking at that situation at the second to last possession and be like, yep, this is how you do things. Doesn't make any sense. You have one game left in the regular season. I would talk about get-right games, but what have the Eagles gotten right over these last two games? Yes, they won against the Giants, barely, and they got run over by the Cardinals yesterday. The Eagles need like another preseason here. Get right. That's what they need for get-right games. They just need to win. They need to keep winning. And I don't know how they can do that at this point in time with the mistakes that they have made as the season has wound down. A team like the Ravens, they have just hit their stride, man. That's the team nobody wants to face in the postseason. They're the hot team at the right time. No question about that. And now you look at the Philadelphia Eagles, and they are limping into the playoffs. So there's a question right now with the Eagles getting ready to take on the Giants at 4:25 Sunday, and the Dallas Cowboys at 4:25 Sunday, taking on the Washington Commanders at Washington. So assuming that the Cowboys beat Washington, why would you have your starters play in this game? Because if the Cowboys win, they win the NFC East. Think about that. You were 10-1. You're not going to win your own division. So the Cowboys win the division. Seems like it's inevitable. The only saving grace there is that the Cowboys are a horrible road team. Anything can happen. So Nick Sirianni was actually asked yesterday whether or not he's thinking about sitting his starters against the New York Giants with the idea that the Cowboys are going to beat the Commanders. Here's Nick's thoughts.
Sure, Bob. That's a good question. You know, obviously we try to think through everything at all times, and we're always thinking about those things. We're going to do whatever we need to do to win this game. But that's still that's a consideration what you're saying, because we think through all those different things. And so we understand we are at the mercy of another team to win the division, all those different things. But we still know that we got to, you can't control that game, right? There's so many different things that you can't control in there. So you got to do what you got to do to win this game. And hey, we also got to get out of the rut that we're in, And so I'm not saying to you yes, I'm not saying to you no. I'm saying to you that everything's discussed.
So it's on the table is all he's saying. It's on the table. If you're making the call, if you're Nick Sirianni, what do you do in this situation? My guys play. That's the decision I'm making. If you look up at halftime, assuming you guys get to halftime around the same time, and the Cowboys are up 30, Cowboys are up 20, whatever the case may be, then maybe I take some guys out. Then maybe I sit some guys. That's where I'll say, all right, everyone, let's just concentrate on getting into the playoffs healthy. We can't do anything about it. And that's that. And let's just hope that the Giants play like the Giants, and they're not very good, and the Eagles play like they've played through most of the season, which is a lot better than what we have seen over the last 5 weeks. But that's a lot to hope for. That's not exactly something that's just like, oh, yeah, it's totally plausible. No, it doesn't feel like it's very much within the Eagles' reach of doing that right now. So watching this team over the last game of the season, what do you need to see? I am a big fan of when things are really struggling for a team that you play. The number one example of this that I always go back to, the biggest example of this is 2010. Michael Vick is playing like an MVP. He's having an incredible season. Eagles are playing great. And then the Joe Webb game happens. I'm sorry. I know you guys have had a lot to deal with. That's negative. I hate to bring up Joe Webb, but I need to illustrate this point. And they lose that game. And then there was conversation about the last game of the season, whether or not you should have any starters play. And I was like, hell yeah. This offense hit a wall. Nobody's on the same page right now. At least play him for a half. Get him on the same page. Get him in a rhythm. Get something good to happen. Some confidence. What do you have to lose? Nothing. Gotta have them play. They didn't. Then they go up and fell flat in the playoffs against the Green Bay Packers, who eventually went on and won the Super Bowl. this is a team that needs to play. This is a team that needs to get right. As Nick Sirianni did say right there, we need to get right. We need to get our guys on track. We need to make sure that our guys find their own rhythm again. Everybody, defensively, like you just had this change in defensive coordinator. At one point, Nick Sirianni said earlier in the season, yeah, I made that decision earlier in the season. You did make that decision earlier in the season, like 4 weeks ago. I wouldn't necessarily go to earlier in the season at that point. Or earlier in the season to me is like the first week of October. Earlier in the season. It was like 4 weeks ago, dude. But yeah, so he doesn't have any regrets about making that change. And here he is yesterday talking about making that change to the DC role and why everything's just fine and dandy.
Hey, Nick, a few games into to Matt Patricia being the defensive play caller, do you have any regrets about making that decision when you did?
No, I don't. Again, everything that I do, every decision that I make is with the thought of the team first and what is best for the team. The adjustments that I made a couple weeks ago were in attempts to do what was best for the team, and I still believe that. We made some adjustments, and we're again coming off of a game like that. No one's going to be satisfied about anything that happened, and so. But I do believe in the guys that we have on the field. I do believe in the guys that we have. In the defensive in the defensive coaches, and so no. Again, just every decision I'm trying to make is what's best for the team, and I believe that adjustment was necessary and where we are right now.
Well, I know where you are right now, and it's lost. I mean, maybe that's the thing. You don't know where you are right now because you're lost. If that was a move they were going to make, it should have been actually earlier in the season. My argument is it should have been before the season started. It seems like an obvious decision to make, but they wanted to take a shot and see how Sean Desai would work. He worked to the tune of 10-3, and then they decided to make the change. You are no longer what your record says you are. I know a lot of times you'll look at that as a 5-5 team or something like that. A 500 team, I should say. You are with we're just 500 team. We're average. Yeah, but there's a lot of things that need to go right. And a lot of things that could go wrong where you're a better team, but that one thing happens and all of a sudden everything goes by the wayside. Now, often that is said about the 500 teams. That's said about teams that maybe even a little bit below 5. We're better than our record says we are. Well, no, you're not. Your record is what you say, right? But if you look at the Eagles team and say you're 10-1, that implies that you're a Super Bowl contender, that you can win the Super Bowl. You were good enough at 10-1 to win the Super Bowl. I have never at any point this year looked at the Eagles and went, this team can win the Super Bowl. When they beat the Dolphins, I was probably my most confident I was in this football team. Look, they beat the Dolphins. They owned the Dolphins. They controlled a game against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are great, and they took care of business. Eli Ricks going out there making plays for you on Tyreek Hill. Feeling pretty damn good at that point. But ever since then, not so much. And they have certainly not been as good as their record had indicated. And right now, they seem to be a little bit worse than their record indicates. A lot worse than what the record indicates. So when you look at it from afar, and people would say, well, they're 10-1 or they're 10-2 or whatever the case may be. This team's okay. Everyone's concerned. Everyone's bitching about a team that's this good. Yeah, they literally demoted their defensive coordinator at 10-3. It can never be said again that your record is what you are what your record is. Because if that was the case, then your defensive coordinator would still have his play calling responsibilities. Like from now for the rest of time, whenever we watch the Eagles, and they might be having a great year record-wise, they might be squeaking out wins a couple times, throughout the season like they have this year. Don't let your eyes fool you. Look at the record. It's like almost like the way a lot of people look at analytics. It's like, here's what the numbers say has happened. And then you watch the team and be like, it doesn't look like that at all. But no, here are the numbers. It's like, well, I'm watching. That doesn't really look like the case. And then it's like, you watch the team and be like, oh, well, the analytic, it's not an analytics, but the record, the stat is 10-1. They don't really look like a 10-1 team. As I told you guys, even leading up to these last 5 games, you look at the 10-1 record and you say to yourself, all right, it's not just about winning this game this week. It's about overall the grand scheme of things. Does this team look like they're good enough to win a Super Bowl? And the answer was no. Other than the Miami game, no. It does not look like a team that's ready to win the Super Bowl. not look like a team that's ready to bounce back and even get to the Super Bowl, unfortunately. The Eagles, by making the move they made defensively, showed how much panic they had. And they haven't been able to recover from it. And I'm really hoping that that proverbial playoff switch that some people talk about actually exists, and the Eagles know where that is at least and flip it before the postseason. I don't have a lot of confidence in that happening. I mentioned earlier the question by Ruben Frank of NBC Sports Philadelphia about putting teams away. So the numbers were they were up 10 points in 9 games this season. 3 of those games they ended up losing. 4 of those games they ended up really scrambling to try to come back and handle. The other ones they actually handled. Nick Sirianni on being able to put teams away. Why has that been so difficult for this Eagles team? Here's what Nick Sirianni said about that yesterday.
At the game yesterday, and we're in that 4-minute. We get the onside kick, and we're in that 4-minute. I like the calls, but maybe I could have been more aggressive there. And that's just me being honest with you guys. Like that's something I'm always going to look at first, and then it goes into, are we putting the guys in positions to make plays, and then are the guys executing them? And so, but like I said, I'm always going to look at myself first, and that's where that's one thing. We haven't been great on 4-minute offense, and that's me, right? That starts with me, and that again with how aggressive we play it, and so. Yeah, I think those are a couple of things. Now, when you're up 10 and you get into 4 minutes, completely different being up 10 in 4 minutes or one possession in 4 minutes. So something's went there in that to get to that has went there to where the lead has eaten back up.
Eaten back up. You need that kill shot. And I was waiting for it in this Cardinals game. I was waiting for the offense to really bail out the defense for what was a horrible defensive game. And I was looking forward to the narrative, the storyline after the game of saying, well, this offense looked like they were back on track. In the late third quarter, early fourth quarter, they just said, DeAndre Swift, have at it, friend. Jalen Hurts makes some big throws. You're able to get down the field. Jalen Hurts on that second to last possession before the holding call on Jordan Mailata, before the miscommunication, before the burn timeout, before the screen to Kenny Gainwell. Before that, he hits A.J. Brown for that 18-yard gain. And I'm like, all right, that's guy. Put him away. This will be a defensive problem. When we're after the game, we'll just talk about how bad the defense was. And then after the game, we got to talk a little bit about how the offense was terrible too. In crunch time. Even coming out of the half against the Cardinals. When the Cardinals just said, all right, we're just going to march down the field, have ourselves a time, see what you guys can do about it. And they couldn't do squata with it. That's a problem. They come out in that third quarter. They run that 10-play, 75-yard drive, 6 minutes, 18 seconds, by the way. Carter's able to get that touchdown. I think is that where he beat Ringo? No, that was later in the game. So you're watching all that unfold. Eagles get the ball back, 1, 2, 3, out. Swift goes off right tackle, gets stuffed. Jalen Hurts hits Swift for 5 yards, so they get a 3rd and 5. Incomplete to Devontae Smith. That was the drop, I believe it was, by Devontae Smith. Jalen Hurts was pressured, was in the shotgun, took a little rock back through it, and it was just couldn't be reeled in by Smith after that, unfortunately. Eagles give the ball right back. 9-play, 77-yard drive, 5 minutes. Now it's a 21-21 game. Eagles, they start running the football with DeAndre Swift. This is the drive I mentioned yesterday where he had 6 carries. He had more carries on this drive at the end of the third quarter and in the beginning of the fourth quarter. 6 carries on that drive, one more than he had in the entire first half alone. And you think, the Eagles are going to go up, and they do. They go up 28-21, then right back to the Cardinals. And that's where you got the Keely Ringo defensive pass interference. Ended up being a huge play in the game, unfortunately. They tie it up. Eagles are only able to get the field goal, and that's when they were done. They were able to answer as an offense a couple of times. Defense, non-existent. I was really looking forward to that narrative, just ripping the defense. And no, we got to talk about how the offense screwed it up as well. But they don't do that, and then you know what they do? They put teams away. That's what they end up doing. Then they put teams away, and they haven't been able to do that. Last thing I have for you guys from yesterday. Look, I got to be honest, I don't give a damn about this storyline. I'm doing this because I know some people care about it. A lot of people care about it. I don't care about it. So if you don't care about it, know that you and I are on the same page, but I'm just doing this for the people that do care about it. A.J. Brown not talking to the media. This is not a locker room problem. This is not a locker room distraction. The team doesn't care that a player isn't talking to the media. I personally would love for him to talk to the media because I think A.J. Brown very simply has nothing nice to say, so he's not saying anything. A.J. Brown's got a sweet gig right now, folks. He's got a sweet gig. Getting paid, playing with one of his best friends and Jalen Hurts. And Jalen Hurts and him have kerfluffles every once in a while. Yeah, so what? That's not a huge thing. A.J. Brown wants to be in this spot. But if A.J. Brown starts flapping his mouth about what's going on, he's going to start throwing people under the bus left and right. And I don't know when it's going to happen. Maybe, just maybe, they blow out the Giants and he's feeling good and actually addresses the media and just talks about, I'm just frustrated and didn't really know what to say. There's nothing to say. The only real clip that we have from him addressing the media is saying that there's really nothing to say. That's it. I think he's got a lot to say. To me, I think people are building it up to help their own agenda, that it's some wild distraction for the locker room. I think people are building up for more than what it is. I think everyone in that locker room just looks at me like, you handle what you got to handle, and we'll handle what we handle. We don't care if you talk to the media. Do you think guys in the locker room right now are be like, oh, man, how are we going to get through this without AJ talking to the media? And I know my opinion of it should be totally different, but I'm trying to be real with you guys, as always. This is not as big a deal. So without further ado, anyway, Nick Sirianni yesterday was asked about A.J. Brown not talking to the media, and here's what he said.
Can you convey to us what's going on there?
Obviously, I don't want to speak for him, but obviously, when you have a dynamic playmaker like A.J., he's going to want to change the game at all times, and he's capable of doing that at all times. And so again, I don't want to speak for him, but obviously, we're all frustrated. We're all frustrated right now, especially coming off that loss yesterday. And so, you want to be able to have fun, you want to be able to do all these things, and that football brings. But sometimes it's hard to have fun and hard to find the enjoyment when you're in a rut like we are. But he's always going to want to change the game because he knows he's capable, and that's just him being the playmaker he is. I know this, and I've said this to you guys on the record, off the record, all everything, that there's nobody that is as good of a teammate. There's nobody that's as good of a person as AJ.
That's nice. We all love AJ. AJ's wonderful. No one's going to speak for him. This is I don't have anything nice to say, so I'm not going to say it type of situation. And no, I don't think that he hates Jalen Hurts. I don't think that particularly he hates the media. I know there's other people that want to push that agenda too. I've seen that out there amongst fans, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I just don't agree with it. I don't think, AJ hates the media, so he's not going to talk. I don't think that's the case at all. I think AJ's got issues with the organization. I think AJ's got issues with the coaching staff. I don't think he's got issues with the media. I don't think he's got issues with Jalen per se. I think he's just not a happy camper right now. And if he opens up that floodgate, man, woof. Once you pop the cork off that champagne bottle, man, an explosion is going to take place. And I think he is actually, I know some people will hate this opinion, but I think he's actually approaching it in a very mature manner. Because the other route here is Terrell Owens. What has happened, and that's everyone who everyone goes to when they're talking about a diva wide receiver. That's what everyone's going to go to. And that would be a distraction. So A.J. Brown just not saying anything, I believe, is the smart way to play it. Yep, that's from Nick Sirianni yesterday. Just going over my notes, seeing if there's anything else I should highlight from yesterday. Really, no. I think I played for you guys everything. Defensive coordinator, no regrets. Not putting teams away. A.J. Brown, sitting guys versus the Giants, miscommunication. Yeah, that pretty much covers it all. As far as not putting teams away and kind of lucky bounces, so to speak, that the Eagles have gotten, there are three, with one honorable mention, that has helped get the Eagles to where they are. And when you talk about this team and where they're sitting at this point, and the concern I have, how different would this have been if, and we'll play the what if game. Here are my top 3 plays that have put the Eagles in the situation that made us like, oh, wow, at least they won, like that kind of thing. Top 3 plays I have. First game against the Commanders. Reed Blankenship's forearm is down, inbounds, to which Terry McLaurin steps on his forearm and is out of bounds by rule. They review it. It's extremely close, but Reed Blankenship's forearm helps him stay out of bounds, kicks him out of bounds, and the Eagles end up winning that game. Barely, but winning that game. That's a loss to the Commanders, a divisional loss to the Commanders. We're not even talking about an opportunity to win the NFC East at that point. That's one of the first ones that really jump out to me this year. The second is the fourth quarter against the Buffalo Bills. If you remember, Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills had just fired their offensive coordinator. They were trying to pick up the pieces. I think they just won a game at home, and now they got to take on the Eagles on the road. Gabe Davis in the fourth quarter cuts outside when Josh Allen was expecting him to cut inside and throws what would have been a touchdown pass. That his man beat on it. He broke the other way. Their mistake. He broke the other way. The Eagles are then able to get a 59-yard field goal. That also helped them, by the way, force overtime. Okay, that also happened with Jake Elliott. That was before the overtime, obviously. And then Jalen Hurts and the offense marched down the field in overtime. Jalen Hurts had that 12-yard draw up the middle for the touchdown. But one of the plays I go back to is if Gabe Davis breaks to the inside, that game's over. Jake Elliott's field goal, that was fun. Got him in overtime, but that's that. It's over after that. And then the number one thing that I look back on that would have been a real hint to what this team was. Eagles are coming out of the bye week. They're 9-1. They're 8-1 coming out of the bye. They're going into Kansas City. Towards the end of that game, Patrick Mahomes throws the deep ball to Valdez-Scantling, and it goes right through his hands. He catches that ball. I don't have a lot of confidence the Eagles march down the field against that defense in that crappy weather, and they win that game. I don't have a lot of confidence in that even a little. Maybe they get a field goal and tie it. But those are the top 3 plays that I look at those are 3 easy losses to look at. If things didn't break right for the Eagles, you're looking at them. Let's see here. Washington, they were 4-1 when they played that game. They went to Washington. It was 38-31. They ended up winning that one. But they dropped to what would have been 8-2 against Kansas City, 8-3 against Buffalo. And then they lose to San Francisco. So then they're 8-4. They lose to Dallas, 8-5. They lose to Seattle, 8-6. 8-6. These are the top 3 plays that I look at that's kept them from being 8-6. Ugh. Good Lord, people. That's where we're at. Let me tell you about MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Take advantage of all they have to offer at mybookie.ag. For instance, you want to bet on sports? MyBookie.ag. NFL action? MyBookie.ag. Basketball? MyBookie.ag. NHL? MyBookie.ag. And use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy at mybookie.ag for all they are offering in the sports world. Not a big sports fan? You could also bet on TV shows. You could also bet on politics if that's your bag. Not mine, but maybe it's yours. So you can enjoy all they're offering at mybookie.ag. Just use promo code Farzy. That's promo code Farzy at mybookie.ag. And you'll get up to $1,000 redeemable cash bonus. And not too shabby, ladies and gentlemen. Not too shabby. Let's get into the chat check and see how you wonderful people are doing on this fine, fine morning. What is happening here? Jumping around. First, here's April. April, what's going on, April? Nice to see you. Adam, what's going on, Adam? Do you think Harry High School makes any sense in his pressers? Coaches, a JG coach circles around him. I think a lot of time, yes, he does make sense. It's when he gets flustered that he starts going with, I think there's 3 stages to Nick Sirianni press conferences. And this is during the week. This is not including game day. Stage one is the day after the game. The first press conference after the game is always this guy. It's like, this is Nick Sirianni after the game. Try this. Hey Nick, what happened on that third down play? Well, with the third down, there was a third down play. On the third down of the 4 downs that you get, what we did was we didn't execute, and if I had to do over again, I'd probably do things different. And then Wednesday, okay, middle of the week press conference, he's watched the film, he's starting to look forward to the next game, he's got a little bit more pep in his step, right? He's like, yeah, he's got to talk about the injuries, who's going to be a walkthrough, who's not, he's got to do that kind of thing. He's like, I don't really like to give information on that. I don't like to really give information on that. When it comes to the players that are hurt, we got to wait for them. I'm waiting to hear from the medical team about what's going on there. But I really like the way that Jalen Hurts been throwing the ball. I really like the way that Jalen Hurts been throwing the ball. Watching the film, yeah, I'm sure there's a couple of throws that do that. I really like how Matt Patricia, what he had dialed up there. I really like what he had called there in that particular situation because, he had confidence in his players there, and we just got to make the play. He's got a little bit more energy. And then Friday, he's this guy. He's hands all over the place. Those are the 3 stages. He's this guy. Then we got to go around. He's that guy. He's like, you got to make a block. He's that guy. And I think he distracts from the subject purposefully. Fuji's back. What's up? For the people on the podcast, I just did an incredible Nick Sirianni progression throughout the week. Anyway, have honestly said the Eagles season many stupid decisions. I hear you. The chance to win the division is a dream. Lose that dream. The locker room is fractured, and the coaching staff in the front office is toxic. Suffering Succotash is your name. Suffering Succotash is your name. That is a great name. Sufferance. Daffy Duck? Daffy Duck, right? Suffering. Succotash. Yeah, Daffy. No real coach would have come here because they had. Yep, exactly. And that's the thing. People are like, oh, he's going to get fired. No, he's not. Why would you fire him? Why would you fire a guy that just coached in the Super Bowl? Why would you fire a guy that at least had you at 10-1? Yes, a pretty bad ending of the season. I'll put it this way. If Nick Sirianni even wins a playoff game, tall order, but if Nick Sirianni even wins a playoff game, I will believe that further makes that conversation stupid. Why would Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman fire him? I actually like Seth Joyner's idea of just make Howie the coach. Just make Howie the coach. Keep coordinators, but make Howie the coach. Wait, hold on a second. Watching the Eagles is like watching your kids continue to make the same mistakes time and time again as adults. It's just infuriating. I've had a very similar thought. I agree, Sean. I picked up a work shift Sunday because I'm over it. Jason A, making money off the Eagles being terrible. I'm just going to go to work that day. I'm just going to go to work. So, Jason A, I asked the question at the beginning of the show about whether or not you went through yesterday, Monday, as if like the Eagles were over. Like not like, oh, the season's over, they suck. Like, oh, it's done. Like they were just eliminated. That's how I went through yesterday. I had to remind myself that the game against the game against the Cardinals I had to remind myself that it was not a playoff game. Like the Eagles still have at least 2 more games left. Nathan, what's up? Only way I can stomach his pressers is by third party. April likes the way Sean described it with the kids. Absolutely. Brian, what's going on? Morning, Farzi. You think Nick will bench the starters for the Giants game like it really matters anyway? No, I don't think he is going to. I think they're going to play. Maverick, Sirianni is a clown. April, it's like once they knew they were in the playoffs, they completely relaxed. Yeah, that's kind of what it feels like. No, the offensive play calling is still really bad. I got to say, I liked it. Just about 3.5 quarters against the Cardinals there. I really liked it. What I really didn't like was the final possession, second to last possession. That's the only thing I really didn't like. Everything else, I was like, okay, all right, I'm feeling it. Little Kenny Gainwell throw, all right. Honestly, I mean, it's okay. That's a gadget play. So what I liked even more was the Dallas Goedert screen. If you guys want to go back and see exactly what I'm talking about in case it's not jumping to mind, it was really early in the game. Was it the second possession? Third possession? What the hell was it? I didn't write it down? Did I really not write that down? What an idiot. Hurts got no. There it is. Second possession. Wait, second possession. Yeah. First down. Hurts to Brown for 16 yards. First down. Hurts to Smith for 5. Play action RPO to Goddard for 23 yards. That was a thing of beauty. That was a thing of beauty. And Julio Jones, man, coming up with his first touchdown there. Not too bad. Not too bad. Daz, the screen and quarterback draw again this game is just comical at this point. I don't disagree. I don't disagree. Nathan, and then everyone starts acting like Gannon is some kind of genius. No, by comparison, yes, but that's bad. I agree. What the? Hey, T-bro. 2nd and 16 quarterback draw, then 3rd and 20 bubble mother bleeping screen. Hallelujah. Where's the Tylenol? T-bro, I'm going to, as soon as the show's over, I'm going to tell my wife that you quoted Clark Griswold. Where's the Tylenol? As if I didn't just see that movie 5 times before Christmas. Gannon just took the game plan from Washington game last year and ran the ball. Yeah, I heard Nick say that after the game. To me, that was kind of arrogant, to be honest with you. Like, oh, the only way he could have done this is if he watched the game we did. Yeah, okay there, Pally. Insufferable drivel every presser. Ate up the clock. V-Man, it's the defense. The defense was demolished by a terrible team. It's Howie. He made the switch to the Patricia. Nick is a puppet, more or less. Edwards, Epps, Johnson, Joseph, Sue, Hargrave replaced by no one. I mean, I still think Jalen Carter is pretty damn good, but I'm not disagreeing with anything else. DB talking now. Are they practicing? Doesn't seem like it. Right. Miscommunication. Have you heard his pressers? Man can barely make words, let alone cohesive sentences. All done. Oh, boy. What do you got? Blue City Empire Sports. I'm hearing rumors that your Eagles players are calling out all the coaching staff. If that's happening, I haven't heard that. I believe this is sarcastic, Adam. Farzy, there's no problem with this team. We need to make some adjustments. For bleep's sake, it's week 18. I believe that is sarcastic. Farzy, exactly. I hope the Eagles organization will realize the problems that they're causing this team. Yep, I'm with you there. I think that was on my point about that brilliant point I was making about how the team realizes that Nick is not exactly all powerful here. Ringo Island. As far as he has a family disowned little bro yet? He's not. He is older than me. Nick Sirianni is older than me by 1 year, man. At most, we'd be Irish twins with him being older. That's little bro, but damn it, Ringo Island. Let's see. Seth Joyner's not joining the coaching staff, guys. Sorry. Why was Roby deactivated? Oh, dude, DB. Before, when you look at the inactives list, so 90 minutes before the game, the inactives officially get announced, and that's where you decide. Like, people think game time decision is like game time decision. No, it's 90 minutes before the game. So when I saw Roby was out and Penny was up, I was confused. Like, Bill Colarulo mentioned it in the pregame show, and I had just looked at the inactive list, and I went, hold on a second, really? I thought, God, I could have sworn I saw Rashad Penny's name on the inactive list, meaning he wasn't playing. And then I was like, oh, maybe I just confused it with Roby somehow. I don't know. I am an idiot, so that's not a tall order. So I look at it, and I go look at it again. I go, oh, my, well, Roby's down? Is Roby hurt? No. Penny's up? Well, they are playing the worst run defense in the league, so maybe they're actually going to run the football again. I believe, ladies and gentlemen, I repeated kindergarten, okay? But I got to be honest with you. I've never felt dumber in my life. More so than even when I repeated kindergarten. I've never felt dumber than when I have looked at an inactive sheet and thought it had any implication as to whether or not, or implied at all, that the Eagles were actually going to run the football in a game. I'm an idiot. I looked at it and went, Rashad Penny's healthy against this? No, Rashad Penny's he's active in this game? Oh, my goodness gracious. They might run the football. For the people on the podcast, the people on YouTube and other visual media outlets are looking at a moron. You are listening to a moron. Enjoy your hike and your long drive. Hire Seth as linebackers coach. I'd love to see it. Stupidity and competence, not giving your all. Jason A. It's really what this team feels. Ringo Island, your youth movement should have started this season. How we kept all the old guys. Nicholas Salem, what's up? Nicholas Morrow looked lost. I concur. We need Zach Cunningham back. Think about Amanda. Think about this for a second. We need Zach Cunningham back. That's where we are in life. Donald, I agree. Matt Patricia should have been the defensive coordinator before the season started. Hire all new experienced position coaches and Frank Reich as OC. Let's party, man. What's up? Thanks, Nick from Cowboys Nation. All right. That's enough. AJ is disgusted with the coaches. What should he tell the media that won't be blowback? Yeah, I agree. If he laid a bunch of BS on the media, he'd sound like Sirianni. Far enough. Mike Green, is this live? This is live, baby. All right, listen to me, you rat bastard. Farzi, as an older brother, you should have set a better example. I have. Eagles should be 0-16, Amanda. Coaching have been improved this season. Salem, thank you for your donation. Wait, what is this? Donald. Oh, why the slant's not being used? Yeah, I don't know. Personally, first and 20. I would have gone slant to A.J. Brown. Like, I understand. I don't hate the quarterback run in that situation, but I would have rather seen a slant. Nathan, hello again. No Jalen this offseason. Or, sorry. No Jalen and this offense are good for 11, apparently. On their own, it will cost them some humiliating corrective fumble drills. Yeah, probably. Kane, you're hitting it right on the nose, Mark. Thank you. MVS is trash. Save the Eagles. Yeah. Oh, yeah. The Cowboys game is another great one. Two very close calls. One, the tackle of Schoonmaker at the goal line. And then also Dak Fancy Pants Prescott coming up a couple inches short of the goal line on the 2-point conversion. Tell me who they drafted. Said Howie Roseman, blah, blah, blah. Howie needs to, Howie this, Howie sucks. Howie. Keen Bama. Oh, yeah, college football was insane yesterday. Nick Sirianni said that it was okay with the play calling on the 2 quarterback draws and just needed to be more aggressive. Tells me all I needed to know. Yeah, I'm with you. Think Tank. Good morning. They waived Kayvon Wallace. Yeah, they did waive Kayvon Wallace. 4th round pick. Yeah, we're talking about Howie's draft picks. Oh, dear God, I can't go down that. I can't. I'm too depressed already, folks. Little over a month to pitchers and catchers. Just saying. Thank you, April. Put a smile on my face. Donald, Sixers are our only hope. Yeah, I'm ready to get hurt again. SMD Eagles, repeated kindergarten. Jesus, Farzi. Yes, I did. I also lived in where did I live? I lived in Rochester, New York in kindergarten for preschool and both my years at kindergarten. We moved from Ambler to Rochester for 3 years. And my mom tells me that I was too young. I had to stay back a year. My dad tells me, like, oh, you wanted to play too much. Couldn't concentrate on anything. I'm like, that seems more like me. Wait, Shooter? What's up, Shooter McGavin? Doesn't like the pandering, the Sixers hoodie. I don't mind it. Paul Mancini, what's up, Paul? Eagles were playing with fire all season, and it finally caught up with them. This second half of the season, team is soft. Coaches are too nice and soft and hold no one accountable. And front office. I'm more of an anti-front office guy than anything else. Another team I want to hear. Thanks, everybody in the chat. You guys are great. as per usual. Let's get to the morning rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. Will we have a saving grace today? I hope we'll have some kind of saving grace today. Let's see when the Flyers are back. Yes.
I sleep in my own bed.
High five. Good job, sweetheart. Do you want to say hello, little toots?
No, I need help for Decimo.
Oh, you need to put the TV on?
Yeah.
I'll be up in a second,
No,
sweetie.
I already.
You already did it, but you're coming down to tell me?
Yeah.
Hey, don't be like your father. Don't repeat kindergarten.
I need you to put this.
The volume? I'll be right up. She's just figuring out how to put the TV on by herself. Very proud of her for that. School starts again today, so she's up a little earlier than usual. Flyers are back at it tonight. They're in Edmonton. They continue their road trip against the Oilers. They've lost 2 in a row. Come on, guys. What the hell? They have a 9 o'clock puck drop tonight against the Oilers. Morning Rush, of course, is brought to you by Sky Motorcars, SkyMotorcars.com. And the Sixers are also in action with their home and home against the Bulls. They're back in South Philly tonight with a 7 o'clock tip-off tonight against the Bulls. Also, don't forget about our great friends at PHL Sports Nation, Philadelphia Sports Nation, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across all social media and blogs. That's PHLSportsNation.com. Thanks, everybody in the chat. Thanks, everyone that watched. Thanks, everyone that listened. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, both on the Jacob Media YouTube channel as well as the Farzy Show YouTube channel as well. Appreciate you guys. Be back with you tomorrow. Working on getting a couple of guests for this week because I just need someone else to talk to when it comes to this team in order to keep my own sanity, especially one that can help me on the defensive side of the ball. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is the Farzy Show presented by MyBookie, mybookie.ag. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. My name is Mark Farzetta. See you tomorrow. Bye.